Hi there, I'm Jim, the owner of PureWave Audio and the Studio Edge Pro Audio Recording Series. With 40 years of commercial sound engineering and mastering experience, plus a bachelor's in electrical engineering. Today, we are discussing the misinformation about NS10Ms. So, I'm seeing a lot of videos on YouTube like, you need to buy a pair of these, referring to the NS10Ms, or amateurs don't understand this. And I'm going to say, and come closer as I say this, the day I got off the NS10s is the day my mixes got way better. Not 30% better, like 3 times better. So let me tell you a story. So back in the 80s, when I started my career in engineering, the Yamaha NS10Ms was all over the place. It was in all the magazines, everybody was using them. But to really be honest about it, they weren't the only speaker in town. They seemed like they were the only near-field monitor, and then everything else was mounted in the walls because this was all professional studios. The early 80s was really the first time that recording gear started becoming smaller and it wasn't a washing machine like a huge tape deck reel-to-reel. You know, you could actually start buying portable stuff. This is around 83, 84. So the NS10Ms was kind of like the only affordable speaker for someone getting into the business. And so I bought a pair because that's what everybody was using. And so I had that pair for 6 years. And so I was recording all my bands. I was recording for other people, doing a lot of stuff. And once I got into college with my electrical engineering degree, one of my RAs was an audiophile that had some really high-end hi-fi gear at home. And he offered, he's like, well, if you're mixing an album, why don't you mix it on my system? Bring your gear over. And honestly, at the time, I didn't have that much gear, so it wasn't much to bring over. And so I was like, sure, so my whole band came over. We brought a table, we got my, reel-to-reel deck came over, my mixing console, and we threw up the NS10Ms, and we put them on top of these Snells that he had, which were floor-standing home stereo speakers, and he had a Krell amplifier that was powering it all, and a Krell preamp. And, in probably today's dollars, it was probably a $6,000 amplifier and maybe a $6,000 to $8,000 pair of speakers. And, NS10Ms at the time were maybe $400.